One more question for you. I want to get
Yeah.
your take on so Taylor Swift recently she re-recorded a bunch of her own music almost
Yeah.
identically and
Right.
re-released it in order to avoid paying royalties to
Exactly.
her music label. Is that a cover? Is that interpolation? And more importantly, like, is that a brilliant loophole that
Yeah.
she invented? Like, what? Can you break down the politics of
I love it.
why she did that and why it isn't done more often?
Yeah. So that's been around for a while. There is the phenomenon of the recordings and the publishing are two different copyrights. And if you're a musician, if you've signed a deal, then depending on who you are and how much leverage you have in the band, but for the most part, you may not be the owner of the recording. The label is likely to be the owner of the public. So Taylor's a perfect example. The reason why she did that is she wrote the songs, co-wrote the songs, her publishing, hers for life. She'll get royalties on that, and rightfully so. But the master recordings she was paid in advance up front, essentially, in order for the label to own those indefinitely, with full ownership rights over them. The ability, I'm going to just stop there because there's more complexity to it, which is not worth mentioning. But Taylor Swift did not own her own recordings, and it's Taylor Swift. So if she doesn't own it, it trickles all the way down to the lowliest deal. I think I remember Foreigner had re-recorded some of their works because they had also been in a bad deal. So they were recording Hot Blooded and all these songs, right? And
That's basically a short circuit to cut out the record label. So the record label owns
the record label has no need to pay them.
That's very specific execution of that song. But
Correct.
like the recipe, if you will, the publishing, they still own, so they can make another version of that cake without paying the kitchen, essentially.
I have nothing further to add. That was a beautiful metaphor. Analogy. I think that was an analogy. I think that that was perfectly put. They own the recipe, but not the cake. And so Taylor is remaking all of her cakes. And I think that is cool, and that's brilliant, and that's like, yes, power to her to do that. Absolutely.
And so those would be covers?
Oh,
She's
right.
covering
So
herself?
that question. Yeah, I suppose technically it would be, yeah. Is she covering herself? I suppose so. I mean, technically she needs to maybe sign off on, well, a cover is a compulsory. So if you cover somebody, they don't need to grant you that permission, but you do need to pay 10 cents to Harry Fox. I'm not really sure how that would work.
Actually, that was my next question. So
Yeah.
if you want to cover somebody, you don't need their permission. You just
Right.
need to pay them after the fact. And
Yeah.
conversely, if you're a band and somebody really lame wants to cover your music, there's no way to really stop them.
That's correct. It's called a compulsory license. It is the law of the land in America that anyone can, unless it's an unrecorded song, like a song that somebody has written in theory that's published, but there's no recording of it. I think that's which doesn't really happen anymore, really. But if that would be the loophole, like you can't cover a song that the writer themselves or that nobody has ever recorded. You can't be the first to record it without permission.
Got it.
But once it's been recorded once, anyone can do their version of Superstition or, a Taylor Swift, Cruel Summer, right? And you don't need to get permission. You just, and if you upload it to any of the major DSPs, they have things in place where it makes it easy to have that 10 cents skimmed off the top via Harry Fox, who has a monopoly because of some historical accident where they were first, I think, to player pianos. I think that's where their royalty monopoly stream comes from. But yeah, they'll take care of making sure the songwriter gets their 10, 12, whatever it is, cents.